Hey guys, do you know that in our daily life we speak like a secret code?
Really? What's the secret? It's when our words dance together, like when want to becomes wanna.
Oh, like when I say gonna instead of going to?
Yes, and there's more. Have you ever noticed how the sounds and words can change depending on their neighbors?
Oh, like the ending sound of cats and dogs are completely different, right?
Yeah, that's true, but not just the sound. The beats of our words matters too.
Oh, like the way we stress a word can give it a whole new meaning? Exactly, like record and record.
See, this is why I said our life is full of these little secrets.
It's like a symphony of sounds. Every part has its place. Here's the secret code of everyday stuff. Yay!
So why did this happen? I think that's a very good question, right?
It is, Syamimi.
Why does this happen?
Well, that's why here, right? We today going to compare the pronunciation of 3 different speakers from 3 different backgrounds.
Yes, as we all know, every day native speaker tends to adjust their stress, change sound and also linking words. By analyzing this, we can see the differences in pronunciation from different speakers and are also from different backgrounds.
So, to analyze it better, we have prepared 3 different phonological processes. The first one would be connected speech. The second one would be more phonemic. The last one would be stress, unstressed.
To analyze this, we have prepared 5 instruments and also a passage for them to pronounce and also to read.
Let's not wait any longer. Without further ado, let's get into it.
I'm sorry if I sound rude, but we heard your conversation just now.
That's fine, Mimi. We didn't talk about private matters or what. But what about it?
We want to know more about connected speech, morphonemics, and stress, unstressed. Can we dive deep into it?
Yeah, sure.
Do we have any real life examples that we can include in this discussion though? Oh wait, let me ask my friend Haqqan first. Wait.
Why is Leah calling me?
Assalamualaikum. Hi Haqqan.
Waalaikumsalam. Hi Leah.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Why do you call me though?
Yeah, regarding your friends that have been interviewed, do you still have the recording?
Oh yeah, I can send it right now. Hold on. Hey, I've sent it to you.
Okay, thank you Haqqan.
Alright, no problem.
Oh yeah, I already asked Haqqan about his friends. So there are 4 people that have been interviewed, which is, the first one is Rafi,
Name is Ahmad.
Aida,
Alright, so my name is Aida.
Ikhwan,
My name is Muhammad Ikhwan bin Azhar.
and also Wasila.
My name is Wasila.
Wow, that's great. Let's get back to our main discussion for today's.
Yes, Mimi. But can we please talk about connected speech, please?
Oh, Irdina is an expert at that.
Oh, I'm not. Anyway.
Connected speech is the changes which conventional word forms undergo due to articulatory or temporal constraints upon spontaneous casual speech. When we speak naturally, we do not pronounce a word, stop, and then say the next word in the sentence. Fluent speech flows with a rhythm, and the words bump into each other. To make speech flow smoothly, the way we pronounce the end and the beginning of some words can change depending on the sound at the beginning and at the end of those words. Nurikmal 2019 said that there is often a significant difference between the way words are pronounced in isolation and the way they are pronounced in the context of connected speech. There are 6 different connected speech processes, which are linking, reduction, elision, insertion, assimilation, as well as multiple. Linking is when the final sound of one word joins the first sound of the next word, but no change on the segment, meaning 2 words are joined without any specific modifications on the speech segments. Second, elision refers to a situation when a certain sound is deleted or at loss, and this process occurs at the word boundaries. Next, reduction can be similar to elision. However, the process does not occur at word boundaries. Next, assimilation is when the phonetics, like phonation, place, and manner of speech segments become similar to neighboring speech segment. And the next one is insertion. Insertion involves modification by adding sounds. And last one, multiple. Multiple involves instances of lexical combination of connected speech process. To see how connected speech happens, let's look into the interview. In this interview, we have asked them to read a short passage in their most casual tone, just like how they speak in daily life. From the interview, we can notice that for the phrase old times, Rafi, Aida, and Wasilah pronounce it as old times, omitting the d sound in old, while Ikhwan pronounced it as old times, exactly as how it is written. In the said phrase, both elision and assimilation happens in how Rafi, Aida, and Wasilah pronounce the phrase. However, no connected speech process happened in how Ikhwan pronounced the phrase. Okay, Rafi pronounced it like that because he is the first language speaker. Thus, the familiarity with the language makes him casually omit the sound as his speech is natural. For Wasilah, the ESL speaker and is familiar with the language, she also omitted the sound as she likely picked up this connected speech process through interaction with native speakers or immersion in an English-speaking environment. However, although Ikhwan is an ESL speaker, he did not use connected speech process because some learners tend to pay over attention to the word's pronunciation. This is to make sure how they pronounce it is correct and they speak more carefully. Meanwhile, for Aida, although she is an EFL speaker, she pronounced it using connected speech process because she is familiar with the language due to her degree major, which is the Bachelor in English Language and Literature. For the next word, you and me, both Wasilah and Rafi pronounced it as you and me, using linking in connected speech process, while Ikhwan pronounced it as you and me, exactly as how it is written. And Aida pronounced it as you and me, also as how it is written, but a bit faster than Ikhwan. Rafi uses elision and assimilation, while Wasilah's pronunciation matches Rafi's, showing a native-like application of the connected speech process. This indicates a higher level of familiarity with natural, fluent speech patterns. While Ikhwan and Wasilah's pronunciation show lack of connected speech processes, which indicate a more deliberate and careful pronunciation styles that aims for more clarity and correctness. Ikhwan's longer vowel sounds in you suggest a more formal or learned approach to English, possibly influenced by instruction focusing on standard pronunciation. For the third phrase, lots of, Rafi pronounced it as lots of. Wasilah pronounced it as lots of. Ikhwan pronounced it as lots of. And Aida pronounced it as lots of. Okay, Rafi's pronunciation uses a connected speech process like reduction, which is common in casual and natural speech, making his speech more fluid and less formal, while Wasilah's pronunciation shows some influence of the connected speech process, which suggests some familiarity with reductions, but not as much as a native speaker. It also shows an intermediate level of exposure to connected speech, while Ikhwan's pronunciation reflects a more careful and learned pronunciation, possibly due to less exposure to native speakers. And lastly, Aida's pronunciation indicates a more formal classroom taught approach where reductions are less emphasized.
That's so insightful, Irdina.
Told you she's an expert.
Yeah, and Alya here is knowledgeable about morphophonology. You should ask her about it.
Oh, is that so?
That's true, she's a master.
That's an overstatement, Aini. So, what is a morphophonemic system? Morphophonemic system is a set of rules that explains how the sound of a word can change depending on its grammatical structure. It basically acts as a bridge between the two fundamental building blocks of a language, which are the phonology, which refers to the system of sounds in a language, including the individual units phonemes and the way they can be combined, and morphology, that deals with how words are formed by adding morphemes, meaningful units like prefixes and suffixes. The morphophonemic system describes how adding morphemes can sometimes alter the pronunciation of the root word. Overall, the morphophonemic system provides a framework for understanding the intricate interplay between morphology and phonology in a language.
Okay, let's take a look at the word play, for example. When we add the suffixes or the morphemes ing to the word play, then it will become playing, right? Okay, have you guys ever noticed when we pronounce the word play, the A sounds of the word play is much shorter, much simpler, much sweet than when we pronounce the word playing. The A at the word playing is much longer. There you see, the addition of the ing morpheme influences the pronunciation of the vowel in the play morpheme.
To see the differences in morphophonemic system between the four interviewees, we have asked them to pronounce 4 words, 2 from the pluralization words and 2 from the negative prefix in words. We chose these 4 words as morphophonemic rules are often seen in the plural suffix as and the negative prefix in. The words are wishes, judges, incomplete, and ingratitude. From the interview, we noticed that for the word wishes and judges, Wasila, Aida, and Rafi pronounce these words with uz sound at the end. But differently for Ikhwan, he pronounced those words with exactly how they were spelled, and both words were pronounced with s sound at the end. So Wasila, Aida, and Rafi pronounce those words as wishes and judges, but Ikhwan pronounced those words as wishes and judges. On the other hand, for the words incomplete and ingratitude, Wasila and Rafi pronounced those words with an occurrence of ing after the prefix ing from both words. But for Aida and Ikhwan, both of them pronounced the 2 words with no occurrence of ing after the prefix in, but they pronounce it exactly as they spell. So Wasila and Rafi pronounced the 2 words as incomplete and ingratitude, but Aida and Ikhwan pronounced them as incomplete and ingratitude. Usually, for rules of pluralization in morphophonemic, sounds can change at the end of words depending on the preceding consonant. This means that the suffix sounds can be influenced by the last sound of the word itself. The rules are usually like this. First, S sound when morpheme ends in non-strident voiceless consonant like p, t, k, f, and th sound like the beginning of the word thin. Second, the sound when morpheme ends in non-strident voiced consonant or vowel like p, g, n, m, v, g, e, e. Lastly, is sound when morpheme ends in strident in nature consonant like s, z, sh, like in the word sharp, j, like in the word decision, j, like in the word job, and ch, like in the word cheese. Therefore, it is right to pronounce the words wishes and judges with a sound at the end as they end with sh and just sound like what Rafi, Aida, and Wasila did. Maybe because they are quite familiar with the English language, it just happens naturally for them to pronounce those 2 words like that. But for Ikhwan, as he is not very familiar with the language, he tends to pronounce every word exactly how it is spelled.
hence making him pronounce those two words with S sound at the end. Next, for the negative prefix in, the occurrence of ing is expected before velar consonant k, like incomplete, and g, like ingratitude. This is because saying in followed by hard k or g sound can be a bit awkward for us. Therefore, our mouth will naturally try to make things easier to pronounce and create a smoother flow. In relation to the experiment that we have conducted, Aida and Ikhwan did not pronounce those words with an occurrence of ing after the prefix in because the three reasons. For Ikhwan, the reason might be because of his speech style. As he is not very familiar with English language, he speaks more carefully and enunciates each sound clearly. In this case, he is maintaining the separate in pronunciation before k and g. But for Aida, the reason might be because of her dialects. As she was born and raised in Senegal of West Africa, you can hear a different dialect of English from her. This then leads to slight variations in pronunciation. Because of that, she might not exhibit the in to ing as frequently as other dialects. And the last reason would be because of personal preference. Aida and Ikhwan might simply find the regular in sound more natural for them, even before k and g sounds. After all, it all depends on our natural tendency to have a smoother and easier pronunciation.
Oh wow, that's so interesting.
I told you she's a master. Still an overstatement of me. Our true master here is our beloved Dr. Fatimah.
So now we're going to talk about your favorite topic, Aini. Huh? Favorite topic?
Yeah, Aini here loves to talk about stress and unstressed words.
Oh, for real? Please enlighten us.
So, sentence stress is a topic that focuses on the pattern of stress and unstressed words across a sentence. It is considered as the rhythm of spoken language because instead of you speaking monotonously, sentence stress helps in adding rhythm to your speech. In spoken English, we use sentence stress to communicate which parts of our sentences are most important. We typically stress words that carry the key information. However, what's considered important can vary depending on the context. When dealing with sentence stress, there are general principles that will help you stress words properly when speaking in English. One of them is that there are words that require stress and words that do not require stress. As I said before, we typically stress words that carry the key information, which can be referred to as content words, as they carry the most meaning when we speak. For examples, nouns, verbs, adverbs, and adjectives. While for words that do not require stress, they are usually function words, which also can be referred to as grammatical words. For example, prepositions, conjunctions, article, and pronouns. So here is an example. He's interested in taking economics. Above, the words interested, taking, and economics all receive stress, while his and in do not. This is because the words interested, taking, and economics are the content words, which are adjective, verb, and noun, while his and in are the function words, which are pronouns and preposition. To see the differences in sentences between the four interviewees, we had asked a few questions, 6 in total, about their educational background, including name, course, and year of study, their place of birth and upbringing, and their background in learning and using English language. For the purpose of analysis, we will focus solely on their answers to one question, their place of birth and upbringing. So the question will be, where were you born and raised? From the interview, we noticed that there are stresses happening on certain words, and there are also words that are not being stressed and being spoken in their weak forms. The results will be presented in 4 parts. Each part will focus on one interviewee.
For Rafi, we noticed that in his answer, several words have been stressed on. It is the words born, Jakarta, race, and US. Looking at all of these words, they are actually content words, which comprises two verbs, born and raised, and two nouns, place name, Jakarta and US. While for the unstressed words, we notice that Rafi does not stress on the words I, was, in, but, and the. And looking at all of these words, they are all function words, which consist of pronoun I, verb be, was, preposition in, conjunction but, and article the. For Aida, we notice that in her answer, several words have been stressed on. It is the words born, Senegal, country, West Africa, race, there, came, Malaysia, and studying. Looking at all of these words, they are actually content words, which comprises four verbs, born, raised, came, and studying, three nouns, place name, Senegal, West Africa, and Malaysia, a noun, country, and an adverb, there. While for the unstressed words, we notice that Aida does not stress on the words okay, I, was, in, and, until, to, and for. And looking at all of these words, they are all function words, which consist of pronoun I, verb be, was, prepositions until, in, to, and for, conjunction and, article and a discourse marker okay. For Ikhwan, we notice that in his answer, several words have been stressed on. It is the words born, Slim River, Perak, and Malay. Looking at all of these words, they are all actually content words, which comprises a verb born and two nouns, place name and ethnicity, Slim River, Perak, and Malay. While for the unstressed words, we notice that Ikhwan does not stress on the words I, at, and I'm. And looking at all of these words, they are all function words, which consist of pronoun I, verb be, am, and preposition at. For Wasila, we notice that in her answer, several words have been stressed on. It is the words born, Cheras, raised, and KL. Looking at all of these words, they are actually content words, which comprises two verbs, born and raised, and two nouns, place name, Cheras, and KL. While for the unstressed words, we notice that Wasilah does not stress on the words I, was, in, and. And looking at all of these words, they are all function words, which consist of pronoun I, verb be, was, preposition in, and conjunction and. Usually in sentence stress, we have general rules that will help you stress words properly when speaking English. These rules include, stress is usually placed on content words, which they carry meaning, while function words are usually unstressed, which they carry grammatical info. The analysis of responses from the 4 interviewees aligns with the aforementioned principle of sentence stress. Stress words predominantly occur within content words, such as birthplace names and the verb born, highlighting the key information in their speech. Function words, in comparison, receive less stress for natural speech flow, like prepositions and conjunctions. Among the 4 interviewees, Rafi exemplifies the ideal placement of stress and unstressed words in his speech, likely due to his status as a native English speaker. His extensive experience with the language allows him to naturally follow the rules of spoken English sentence stress. However, we also need to take into account that stressing words in the utterances can vary depending on the intended message that the speaker wants to convey. Hence, there are possible conditions where function words are being stressed on.
Thank you, Aini, for sharing with us your favorite topic.
Oh, no problem.
Matter of fact, thank you all of you for this discussion.
We are so happy with the new information we just gained.
No problem.
I think it's time for us to take our leave.
So we're going to go now. Bye. You have heard our conversation,
It's very fun and insightful.
but now it's time to conclude the experiment. Our study focused on the fascinating difference in connected speech, stress pattern, and morphophonemics among native speakers, EFL speakers, and foreign English speakers. Let's dive into our conclusion.
Absolutely. So, first off, native speakers, those who have been immersed in English since birth, are very fluent. They naturally use phonological rules like elision, assimilation, and leg linking, and they follow instinctively stress time patterns.
True. Now, let's talk about ESL speakers. They start learning English later in life, so they are more cautious. They focus on accuracy, enunciating each sound clearly, and sometimes the native English rules sneak in, which affect their rhythms and pronunciation.
And for foreign English speakers, they have an even harder time. With less exposure to conversational English, they keep their native speech patterns, have stronger accents, and often pronounce words exactly as they are spelled.
Exactly. Confidence matters too. Native speakers speak without overthinking, while ESL speaker and foreign speaker, they juggle their grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation a lot, which slows them down.
Educational background plays a role as well. Native speakers learn to speak before writing, which helps them with natural speech patterns. ELSPAS learners often focus more on formal grammar and vocabulary, missing out on natural flow and stress patterns of spoken English.
Dialectal difference also play a significant role. People from different backgrounds pronounce words differently due to their native dialects, leading to variation of pronunciation.
Personal preference affects pronunciation too. Some ESL speakers stick with what feels comfortable, even if it deviates from standard rules.
So, to sum it up, these factors, familiarity with English rhythm, native language influence, exposure to natural speech, educational focus, dialectal differences, and personal preference lead to distinct variation in connected speech, stress pattern, and morphophonemics pronunciation among native ESL and foreign English speakers.
It's fascinating how these differences show up in everyday communication. Understanding them can really help in language teaching and learning.
Definitely, it's a complex but important part of mastering English.
Thanks for joining us as we explore the topics. Keep practicing and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.